been a few times where I've been emotional and I've nearly cried, but I haven't yet. I just cannot wait to see Ozzy Osbourne. This is me, some random kid from Birmingham who 2 years ago didn't even really understand what heavy metal was. I mean, don't get me wrong, I knew of rock music and I knew of some rock legends, but one thing I didn't know was just how much heavy metal was going to change my life. I've always believed music comes from somewhere, not just studios and stages, but from the streets, from broken places, and from people just trying to make it through another day. Black Sabbath weren't just a band, they were a warning siren. Born in Birmingham and forged in the dark, today I'm walking the streets of my hometown Birmingham to see exactly what's changed and what never will. So, the idea I had for this video was because 1, Black Sabbath, 2, Ozzy Osbourne, 3, the fact that actually we live so close to where Ozzy Osbourne is from and where Black Sabbath started. Like, quite literally, we're on the way here now. We're going to get there in 10 minutes. I could ride my bike here if I wanted to. I have rode my bike into Birmingham. That's how close we live. I'm really excited to record this video and just go through the history of Birmingham then, when Black Sabbath were first starting, and obviously Birmingham now. When I try and think back of where I first heard of Ozzy Osbourne from, I actually don't have a clue. I feel like I've always known the name Ozzy Osbourne. I definitely haven't always known the name Black Sabbath. I feel like I've always known the name Ozzy Osbourne. And I don't know if I ever thought he was just like a TV star or something on the Osbourne show.
You gonna rinse out? How about taking a rinse?
But yeah, so obviously since reacting to the music and becoming more knowledgeable with the music, I've realised that no, Ozzy Osbourne isn't just a reality TV star, he is a fucking rock star. First place we're going to head over to is his childhood home. The sun is out, really hot today. I've chose the worst day to record this documentary because it's sweltering, the heat is just really bad. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this, so let's just get on with this video. Birmingham, England is widely recognised as the birthplace of heavy metal music, thanks in large part to its gritty industrial atmosphere and the groundbreaking bands it produced. Among its most famous sons is Ozzy Osbourne, who grew up in a working class Aston neighbourhood. The harsh realities of post-war Birmingham shaped the dark, powerful sound of Black Sabbath. Their heavy riffs and bleak lyrics reflected the city's raw energy, laying the foundation for an entirely new genre that would echo around the world. Okay, so a quick little fact about Black Sabbath before we get there. They originally got their name from a 1963 horror film that they'd seen on a movie poster, obviously being the same name as Black Sabbath. The film was inspired by, you know, eerie, atmospheric sort of vibes, which obviously fit really well with Black Sabbath and their sound and their style of music. So they went with the name Black Sabbath after many names, and I guess you could say the rest is history. There's a lot of reasons why I wanted to do this video. People on Patreon and also in the comments were asking me to show them around where I'm from, and I don't think that's a very interesting video to do, just showing people where I'm from. I think it'd be a bit egotistical of me to think that that's what people would want to watch anyway. So I thought, why not mix in Black Sabbath and Ozzy Osbourne with my area, because we are from the same area, so it's easy to do that. Like I said, as well as seeing where Black Sabbath first originated, get ready to see Birmingham and the shithole it has now become. So we are literally around the corner. Now, I'm not familiar with Aston at all. It's not somewhere I usually would have come to growing up. But this is actually only a one-way street as well, so I've got to hope that we've got somewhere to park. But we're officially on the road. We need to look out for number 14. This is a lot quieter than what I thought it was going to be, actually. 43, 26, 18, there it is, 14. Okay, we need to find somewhere to park, so... right, yeah. Okay, this is quite scary now because I've never recorded in public, so I don't know how I feel about this and people watching me, but it's got to be done. We've got to do it. Let's go and check out Ozzy's childhood home. Okay, so I seriously hope that nobody sees us doing this. They're gonna. I'm not that lucky. I just hope nobody asks me questions because I'm not a very confident person in person, which is quite funny really, considering I've got this huge channel. Oh shit. Okay. So this is basically where it all began, but unfortunately we've just walked past the house and the fucking front door's open, so I can't exactly go and record it if I can't meant to do. Oh man, it's crazy to think that, like, not even 50 odd years ago, 60 odd years ago, a young Ozzy Osbourne, 70 years ago, would have been playing on these streets and like coming home from school every day and walking into that house right there. It's crazy how deprived the area still is though. I don't feel like this would have been any better back in the 50s and 60s though as well, so. And I think that's what's a shame about Birmingham, is the fact that even though such greatness has came from it, it's still dilapidated and not actually a nice place to live. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some places, but you'd think it now, considering a rock and roll legend lived here, that this road would be a little bit better, but it's not. So I'm going to walk past the house. I'm going to try not to make it obvious what we're doing, but I want to go past it and I want to see if the little etching is still on the side of the wall that he did when he was originally thinking of band names. So we'll go past.
See here? I wrote that on the wall. Iron Void. See?
What's that stand for?
I was just thinking of band names. I thought Iron Void, that's a good name for a band.
But it's quite literally this, not this white one, there's a white one in a minute. It's, you know what, I'm more awkward here than I would be in town recording. I don't think it's there anymore. But that's a shame. But yeah, I just can't believe he lives there. I don't know, just thinking about how, and I know that at one point he would have just been an ordinary bloke, but just thinking of the fact that he would have, you know, come home from school every day there, played out every day there, ate food in that house every day. And I'm sure that there was 8 of them living in the house at one time. Now, you've seen how small that house is. I don't know how the hell you're fitting 8 people in that house, but that's what happens when you live in Birmingham in the 50s in a working class family. I mean, even now, I'm not afraid to admit that I grew up in a council house as well, and council houses are small and shitty, but these are a lot worse than what I've lived in. And I think as well, like, it gives you, when you come from this sort of background, it makes you humble, and even though these people are now multi-millionaires, they don't forget where they've come from. And I think that's what makes people the most down to earth. But yeah, man, 14 Lodge Road, Aston. This is, I mean, it's still Birmingham, but it's a lot different to the Birmingham side that I've lived on. Growing up in a working class family in Aston, Birmingham during the 1950s and 60s, Ozzy Osbourne faced a tough and bleak reality. His father worked a job at a factory, whilst his mother worked multiple jobs just to get food on the table for their large family. The home was small and overcrowded, and money was always tight. Like many kids in his neighbourhood, Ozzy struggled at school, partly due to undiagnosed dyslexia, and left with very few qualifications or prospects. Surrounded by industrial decay, limited opportunity, and the shadow of poverty, music became both an escape and a lifeline, offering a way out of a cycle that trapped so many around him. We're now leaving Ozzy Osbourne's childhood home, where his journey as a working class kid in Aston to global rock icon began. Just around the corner from here is the iconic Villa Park, the home of Aston Villa Football Club, but also a place of huge significance in music history. It was right here that Black Sabbath played their final ever show in 2025. Returning to their roots, the band chose to end their legacy in the very city where it all started, bringing their story full circle in front of a hometown crowd. So if you're watching this video, then I'm pretty sure you'll all know that last Saturday on the 5th of July, Ozzy and Black Sabbath had their last ever performance at the Villa Ground, which is quite crazy actually, because even though they're from Aston, it was the first time ever playing at the Villa Ground. I don't know, I just feel like somebody of that influence, you think that they would have played there before, but no, they hadn't. So now I was fortunate enough to be able to go to this concert. So shout out to Eric, the moderator, because if it wasn't for him, I would have completely missed out. And the fact that this was my first concert as well was just something fucking even more special. Prior to last Saturday, the band had never played here before. That was the whole thing about, like, back to the beginning, obviously coming back to Birmingham, Aston, and this is pretty much the only place in Aston that could hold a venue of the size that it was. But I think there was around 44,000 people there altogether, and I mean, realistically, Ozzy could have done Wembley. Like, you could have easily had, I don't know, 80 to 100,000 people, and the tickets would have sold out like that. But yeah, like I said, I was fortunate enough to go, and it was a very emotional day. There was multiple times where I cried, not even just with Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath, but Metallica, Alice in Chains, even Steven Tyler, bro. When Steven Tyler came out, I was a little baby, and yeah, I was getting a bit teary-eyed. When you think of like the history of Black Sabbath and how far they came as a band, and just the whole storyline, I think is just so not only inspiring but fascinating at the same time. And I just have a weird feeling every time I've been here. I've been here twice now since the concert. I'd only ever been here once, and since the concert I've been here another 2 times. I've been to the shop because they did Ozzy Osbourne merch, more of it, which I wanted to get, and then obviously now. And every time I'm here, it just feels, I don't know, it just reminds me of that Saturday, and it's a mad feeling, man, really mad feeling. So I got some more facts I want to dump on you now. A lot of these you may already know, but I feel like if I'm making this sort of video, I may as well throw some facts in here. So obviously Ozzy Osbourne, one of the founding members, he helped form the band in 1968, and he was with the band for 11 years, obviously before being kicked out for substance abuse. From there, they had the new lead singer, Ronnie James Dio, and they went on to do albums like Heaven and Hell. And I do respect Ronnie as an artist, but I think, to me, Black Sabbath will always be the original 4, Ozzy, Tony, Geezer and Bill. It's crazy to think as well that over the career they had 20 different lineups. Like, I don't even know 20 people, let alone 20 different, you know, groups of people that can play instruments and continue the legacy of the band. And it's really something to think about, actually, that no matter how many different lineups they had, the original members is always the ones that people remember. So I'm pretty sure Ozzy's house is either going to be in that direction or that direction, but it's so close, it's probably like a 3 or 4 minute walk. To be honest, we probably should have walked here just to show you how close it actually is. But I'm not leaving my car on a random road in Birmingham. I don't care if Ozzy's lived there or not. It ain't safe, I ain't doing it. There's something about history to me, and I'm not just talking about like music history and stuff, but history in general, that, I don't know, it fascinates me, and every time I learn about it, or, you know, I'm just in the presence of something historic, it just, I don't know, it sends me funny. It's a bit like how I am when I listen to music. I could honestly sit and just learn about Black Sabbath for hours and hours. So a lot of you will already know this, but a couple of weeks ago, Black Sabbath played their Back to the Beginning show right here at Villa Park in Birmingham. It was an emotional, full circle moment, their final ever gig back in the city where it all started. The original lineup was there, including Ozzy sitting on a bat-shaped throne because of his health. The show lasted nearly 10 hours and featured a massive lineup of bands like Metallica, Guns N' Roses, Slayer and more, all paying tribute. It also raised an incredible £140 million for local charities like Birmingham's Children's Hospital and Cure Parkinson's, a proper send-off for the pioneers of heavy metal. Seeing how empty this road is now compared to what it was last Saturday is crazy, because this whole section here was full of people. They had the merch stands here, the line went straight back to the wall. It was like I was just like this around everyone. I'd never been in an environment like that before. It was weird, but it was exciting at the same time. And I didn't actually feel like, usually I feel like I'd get uncomfortable at it, but I didn't, which is great for me. I'm looking forward to the next concert that I go to, because this isn't going to be the only concert. There's going to be way more after this one. Standing in so many spots where Black Sabbath once stood, it's honestly hard to put into words. Knowing this is the place where it all began, where Tony, Ozzy, Geezer and Bill first unleashed the sound that would change music forever, gave me goosebumps. It's crazy to think that heavy metal was born right here, in this small, unassuming space that I call home. Honestly, today I felt like I was connected to something bigger, like I was touching a piece of history, breathing the same air where legends once created music. Although I only live 15 minutes away, it's a moment that I'll never forget. From here we're heading somewhere truly iconic in rock history, the Crane pub in Birmingham city centre. This legendary spot is where Black Sabbath played their first ever gig, starting the birth of heavy metal. Okay, so I'm currently standing right opposite the Crane pub where Black Sabbath played their first ever gig. Now, at the time that they played it though, they wasn't called Black Sabbath, they were actually called Earth, which I kind of think that Black Sabbath is a better name than Earth, but you know. So in the basement they used to have a venue called the Jug of Ale, and this is where the young up-and-coming artists, musicians would have played back in the 60s. Black Sabbath, like I said, have played here many and many a times, obviously before they ended up getting signed and becoming worldwide famous. Imagine being like, I don't know, 20 years old in the 1960s and just coming here with your band to play your first venue, with all the drugs and the sex and the rock and roll. So not only was the Crane a vital part of the music scene in Birmingham, especially for like heavy metal and stuff like that, we had other places like Mother's in Erdington, Henry's Blues House, that all had a role in shaping the heavy metal scene in Birmingham. And to think that not only did, you know, Black Sabbath, Ozzy play here, we had bands like UB40, Led Zeppelin, Status Quo, just a handful of the bands that, you know, would have played here early on in their career. So the Crane originally shut its doors in 2014, and it's a shame really, because even though you've got all this history behind it with all the music and stuff, there's been no plans to reopen it since. A lot of people have raised concerns about the state of the building and what's going to happen to it, but I'm pretty sure it's now a listed building, so it ain't going anywhere anytime soon. Look how young he looks as well. Like, it's mad. I feel like I've only ever known Ozzy Osbourne to look older. I've never known him as a young man. He's got to be, what, in his 20s? Early 20s? I've just realised as well, look at the Ozzy tattoo on his fingers. That is... I didn't realise he'd had it that early on. It is crazy. And it's a shame of how things just get run down and left and forgotten about. I mean, actually saying that, the last time I came up here, they didn't have any of these pictures on the walls or anything. It was pretty much just a pub, and if you knew this is where they played, then you knew it was where they played. There was nothing to actually tell you that it was. Don't you think as well? Now, we've been watching the Osbournes recently, because since the concert, I've just been obsessed with Ozzy Osbourne. I was a big fan anyway, but just, it's made it even worse. But don't you think, do you love it when people crack jokes when you're trying to be professional? Right, as I was saying, don't you think that on Ozzy Osbourne there on the left looks like Kelly from the show? I'm talking a young Kelly Osbourne as well. I'm not talking old. Well, not old, but you know, now. So this is where it gets a little annoying, because I thought I had more footage than I actually do. So I've decided to put some B-roll shots over this while we talk about the pub. The Crane pub on Navigation Street in Birmingham first opened its doors in the late 19th century and became a beloved local music venue. It was here that Black Sabbath played their first ever gig in 1968, along with many other great bands like Led Zeppelin, Judas Priest, Thin Lizzy and UB40. Unfortunately, the Crane has been left derelict since 2014 after being purchased by a Japanese development company. However, in 2024, the building received its Grade 2 listed status, ensuring its heritage is now legally protected from unsympathetic redevelopment. It's crazy to think that this small pub sits right in the middle of Birmingham with thousands of people a day walking past it, not knowing just how important this abandoned building really is. So you've got the Crown pub right here, and then just up here you've got the new graffiti that was laid out. I don't really have any history about the graffiti because it was literally only put down I think a few weeks ago, but everyone signed it from the band. I think it'd be a good thing to add onto the video, so let's go. So not only, now I know this isn't music related, but not only is Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath from Birmingham, but you've also got the Peaky Blinders as well. So they've got the massive Peaky Blinders mural on the side. I didn't even notice this though until a couple of days ago, or about a week ago when I came down, that this was even here. But if you haven't watched Peaky Blinders, definitely watch it because it's really good. To me, this is the best graffiti I've ever seen in my life. And it's got all of the signatures on here as well. But they have like preserved them by putting like a plastic sheet over it. But somebody's going to find a way somehow to graffiti it because they always do. Obviously this is the best one. I feel like I should just kiss it or like try and lick it so that I've got a bit of Ozzy's DNA on me. I'm not being weird or nothing. And this has to be my favourite piece of the graffiti so far, purely just because this is the Ozzy Osbourne that I know. This is the one that I've heard and learnt about. It's just fantastic. As well as mixing in the music side of Birmingham, a lot of people, like I said, wanted to see where I'm from. And this is Birmingham now. And I thought, what a great place to show and start this little bit of segment. We had a bin strike recently. Luckily, we wasn't in the area of where the strike was happening. But because of that, the streets are literally just plastered with shit. And it's a shame, but this is Birmingham now, unfortunately. Another thing I wanted to say was, although, you know, as we're getting on now, life's moving forward and there's different generations of people and stuff, these bands that were around in like the 60s and 70s are going to slowly start to be forgotten about. I won't forget about them. I know a lot of other people that won't, but as generations go on, they're not going to be spoke about as much. But it's good to see that someone, at least, is trying to keep the culture alive in Birmingham. So whoever did that, shout out to you, motherfucker, because you're a real one. So what's crazy about Birmingham as well is, just down there, it's an absolute shithole, but then the closer up here you get, the nicer it starts to get, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Like the buildings and the architecture up this end is beautiful. Down here, I wouldn't want to be here at night, let's just put that in, let's just say like that. I didn't even realise this was here either. Okay, I'm going to want to stand and read this for a little bit. They've got loads. All different pictures of the band when they were first starting out. Oh, so they had a final concert as well in 2017, but then they've done another final concert in 2025. The set list is packed full of iconic and classic doom-laden anthems such as Black Sabbath, War Pigs, Paranoid and Iommi. Delivered with conviction and a sense of closure, the production is crisp and brilliantly captured the atmosphere of the packed arena without sacrificing the band's signature heaviness. Wait, so I'm missing something? Oh, okay, yeah. So they did have a show. Oh, but it was only the three of them, look. Ozzy Osbourne, Tony Iommi and Butler. So Bill Ward wasn't a part of it. So actually then, I guess you could say the show that I went to was the most special. I'm not going to brag, but I really like that they've done this because thinking about it, without Black Sabbath, what the hell would Birmingham really be? Thankfully, Birmingham city centre really isn't that big, so it's very easy to walk around and find all of these things. If you're ever here visiting Birmingham, then make sure to check out all of these places. They're so much better to visit in person. These little stands with photos and information about Black Sabbath, I didn't even realise they were here. This was something we found in the moment of recording, and it's cool to see how the city appreciates Black Sabbath and everything that they've achieved. So from here we'll walk into the Black Sabbath bridge and bench. This is probably one of the coolest things. Definitely not as cool as real history like the Crown pub, but it's definitely worth seeing. It's crazy to think that not too long ago, people from all around the world were queuing just to sit and have a picture taken on this bench. James Hetfield himself sat here and had a photo, so you know I had to do the same. I know there isn't much information in this video, but I have tried my best and this is my first ever mini documentary. The main thing I wanted to do was show you around Birmingham, show you where Black Sabbath are from, and show you exactly where heavy metal started. Okay, that's enough waffling for me. Let's shut up and let's go straight to the bridge. Now, some would argue that this is probably the most famous bench in the world. I personally don't know any more famous benches, but I am currently waiting in a queue to get onto the bench to show you guys. So this might be one of those clips where I have to talk in the background because I don't know what else to say. I mean, I can't talk while there's people around me waiting. But yeah, this is the Black Sabbath bridge and bench. Originally, Black Sabbath were known as the Polka Tulk Blues Band, then changed the name to Earth, then became Black Sabbath in the end. And I think Black Sabbath is a much more fitting name for a band. So they changed the name to Earth in 1968 and then changed the name to Black Sabbath in 1969. Ozzy was with them for 11 years before deciding, well, I don't know about deciding, but before getting kicked out for substance abuse. But I think it's just a nice little addition to Birmingham and a cool little, just a cool little thing to have here. It's just a weird placement, I think. I think it's weird where it's placed, like on Broad Street. I mean, I couldn't find anything to do with why it would be on Broad Street, but it is for some reason. Oh, you can actually have, I knew there's a camera somewhere and it takes a picture of you. You know what, I'm going to find it and we'll get it on the video. I'm glad that we have something like this in the city because not only does it show appreciation to the band, but it just shows how much influence they had on music. If Tony Iommi hadn't lost his fingertips in that work accident, then we definitely wouldn't have had the Black Sabbath sound that we all know and love. This is definitely not a real signature because this would have been gone by now. I think it's most fitting though as well. I was going to say I don't know why it's on Broad Street, but at the same time it's probably, I was going to say one of the less horrible areas of Birmingham, but actually you don't want to be at Broad Street either. Broad Street is the party side of Birmingham, it's where all the bars and the clubs are and stuff, so yeah. I think we wrap it up for the day, head back to the car and then come back to the museum. It's not usually quiet here, but no matter what time of the day, the bench tells a loud story. Sat in the middle of Birmingham, it marks the start of something massive. These cut-out figures are not just pieces of art, they're the shadows of 4 working class lads who managed to change music forever. Black Sabbath started here, in the factories and the fog, turning noise into something powerful. This isn't just a bench, this is a monument to a movement, a reminder that sometimes, from the most unlikely places, legends rise. I know that Ozzy's like from Aston and stuff, but like I wonder how many times he actually would have spent time up here in the city centre. Because I reckon like the distance from Aston to the city centre is the exact same distance from where I'm from to the city centre. So, and I never really started hanging up here until I got to about 19, 20, so I wonder how many times he would have done it, if it was a regular thing or if he never even actually came up here that much. Now, it's safe to say that Birmingham isn't perfect. It's got its rough edges, its grey buildings, and let's be honest, it can look a little dirty at times, but behind all of that, there's a real sense of character here. The city has produced some incredible things, Black Sabbath being one of its greatest exports, born right out of the industrial heart. I'm from Birmingham myself, as you all know, and as much as I do complain about this place, there's always something that pulls me back. It's home, the accent, the people, the grit, it's all part of who I am, and no matter where I go, nowhere else feels the same. I had the chance to visit the Ozzy Osbourne exhibition at the Birmingham Art Museum and Gallery, and it was an amazing tribute to one of the city's most legendary figures. Unfortunately though, I wasn't allowed to film inside with my main camera, so I had to make do with filming some clips from my phone. It's a shame really, because I may never be able to show just how impressive this exhibit fully is. Packed with Ozzy's accolades, personal memorabilia and milestones from his career, from his early days with Black Sabbath and his solo success, the exhibit really captures the scale of his legacy. If you get the chance to go, it's definitely worth seeing in person, and you've got to be quick because it's not going to be here forever. Standing in front of Ozzy's achievements was honestly a humbling experience. Seeing everything laid out, like his awards, his iconic outfits, handwritten lyrics, and photos from every stage of his career has made me realise just how much he's accomplished and how hard he's worked over the decades. It's easy to hear the music and forget the journey behind it, but being here brought all of that back into perspective. Ozzy wasn't born into success, he fought for it, through struggles, setbacks and chaos of fame, and in that moment I felt genuinely grateful, not just to be a fan but having the privilege to be able to listen to Black Sabbath and Ozzy Osbourne's music. Standing here also made me think about how much of an impact Ozzy and Black Sabbath have had, not just on music but on culture as a whole. They didn't just create songs, they created a sound that reshaped rock and gave birth to heavy metal, and the fact that all of that came from right here, it makes it even more personal. There's a kind of pride in knowing that greatness came from a place that often gets overlooked. Seeing Ozzy's journey laid out in front of me just reminded me that with enough passion and determination, you can break boundaries, no matter where you start. For me, it was more than just an exhibit. It was a reminder of what's possible. No matter where life takes me, I'll always carry a piece of Birmingham with me. Its music, its spirit, and its stories. And in the end, that's what Black Sabbath gave us. A story of the unheard, and a legacy that will never fade.